Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy A16 and see how it compares against the iPhone 12. Now, number one, the big thing I will definitely tell you is that when it comes down to both of these phones, I think it does make a lot of sense to go and possibly buy something like a Samsung Galaxy A16 in some cases, but the iPhone 12 might be a better phone in some other cases. So we'll take a look at that throughout this whole entire video. But number one, if at any point you want to buy some phones that I would recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these phones, the iPhone 12, which came out back in 2020, on the front side of this phone, is going to be giving you a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. And this phone, it's a 4-year-old panel, and you can definitely tell it is an older panel in some ways. 1200 nits of brightness, but still a very high resolution panel and still an OLED display. It's still a really nice display when it comes down to it. On the Galaxy A16, on the other hand, this phone is going to be a 6.7-inch Super AMOLED display. It's 90Hz here, so a higher refresh rate than the iPhone 12, but it's 800 nits of brightness. So it gets 400 nits of brightness less than the iPhone 12, which isn't a big deal, but that can be kind of a disadvantage for some people out there. But on top of that, another disadvantage for something like either one of these phones is that they are slightly a little bit outdated already. The iPhone 12 has a big notch on it, where the Galaxy A16 has a little bit of a notch at the top and a little bit of bezel at the bottom. I would probably say though in some ways the A16 probably holds up better just because of the 90Hz display. On top of that, the A16 is going to be giving you a USB Type-C port and a microSD card slot inside of that phone. The iPhone 12 is giving you a Lightning port. The Lightning port is already kind of outdated. A lot of companies have moved away from it, including Apple. So it is still really, really nice that you are going to be getting that type of capability on the Galaxy A16. The iPhone 12 definitely beats the A16 from build quality though. The iPhone 12 is giving you that standard glass back on the backside, which is really nice, and is giving you wireless charging, where the Galaxy A16 is just giving you a plastic back with no wireless charging. That is kind of a disadvantage, and you're also getting IP certification, a higher rated IP certification on the 12 than on the A16. When it comes down to the cameras, the iPhone 12 is giving you a dual camera setup. The A16 is giving you a triple camera setup. The camera quality on the iPhone 12 is substantially better than on the Galaxy A16. The 12 is giving you the wide and ultra-wide camera. The zooming and zooming out I think is just a better quality on the iPhone 12, but also the highest resolution you can film in on the Galaxy A16 is 1080p at 30 frames per second on the front and the back. The iPhone 12 is substantially better at 4K at 60 on the front and the back. This is without a doubt a massive difference here. If you are going to go through and get a phone, it makes a lot more sense to own something like an iPhone 12. From a camera side, this is definitely a really big advantage for this type of phone. Now, on top of that, when it comes down to the software longevity, the iPhone 12 is going to be one of those phones that probably it's just not going to be lasting as long as the Galaxy A16. The 12 is essentially going to be lasting maybe like 2 more versions of iOS, where the Galaxy A16 is just getting started, and it might be getting up to 6 major versions of Android. Probably, I don't know if it's going to be that high, but that's what Samsung is saying, and that means for several more years the Galaxy A16 is going to be around. But still, for a 4-year-old phone, the iPhone 12 still supported and still doing like a decent job right now too, but the Galaxy A16 definitely wins there. And battery life is another area the A16 wins. The 12 is actually doing pretty decent on iOS 18. I'm pretty surprised about it. But right now, with everything considered, 5,000 mAh on the Galaxy A16, it's definitely not even coming close. And that is a really, really big advantage for something like the Samsung Galaxy A16 when it comes down to it. And finally, when it comes down to the performance, the iPhone 12 is giving you that Apple A14 Bionic chip inside of it with 4GB of RAM, where the Galaxy A16 is giving you one of these MediaTek Dimensity chipsets, or the Exynos chipset with 4 to 8GB of RAM. I think the performance might be one of those areas that might be slightly better in some ways on something like a Samsung Galaxy A16. I feel like the A16 is better in some ways, but the iPhone 12 is also better in other ways. Let me explain. The iPhone 12, I feel like the chipset is more powerful, but the display refresh rate on the Galaxy A16 gives me sometimes an impression that it might be better on that particular phone. So it's just kind of like flip-flop. I wouldn't necessarily go from one phone to the other just based off the performance, but at the end of the day, I probably would say something like the Galaxy A16 might be giving you a little, I don't really know actually. I don't want to say one is going to be better than the other one for sure, but the iPhone 12 and the A16 are probably more comparable than they are different there. So to kind of sum up this whole entire video, I probably would say both these phones wouldn't necessarily be the first phones I'd recommend buying. I would say if you want to buy a cheap iPhone, definitely an iPhone 12 is a very good option, but the Galaxy A16 does have a few areas where it's kind of better. Battery life, maybe software, definitely software, and slight refresh rate increase on the Galaxy A16. But the iPhone 12 is better from a build quality standpoint, wireless charging standpoint, and overall just fluidity I would probably give to the iPhone 12. So from that side, that's kind of how both these phones kind of compare. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.